Right. The next step is to make the handle for the lid. Now you don't have to make the handle profile like this. You can get a little ornamental statue, a piece of crystal, I don't know, whatever you like, piece of solid sterling figurine. You can put whatever you want on the top of the lid as a handle. But I make this. This makes it look quite oriental, based on Frank Lloyd Wright's design. So to finish up with a handle like this sanded, the timber actually starts as a piece of offcut. Now you may have seen this size before. I use this a fair bit. This is I think 11.5 mils by 11.5 mils. It fits perfectly on my table saw sled. The groove in my table saw. So once I've got this profile, I then use a raised panel router bit to take off these two profiles. So on the table saw, what it actually does, on the router table, you actually pass it through this way through the router table, turn it around and then pass it through again. Basically similar to how you're making a box lid, but with a different router profile. Once you've got them in lengths like this, I usually do quite long lengths, 1, 2, 3 meter lengths. Oh, sorry, not 2 or 3 meters, 1 or 2 meter lengths. And then I trim them down to this size, which is I think 300 mils. It fits perfectly in the tray, and that's how I store it. So once you've got them down to this length, I then trim them down to that length, which is about 80 mils. And after you've trimmed it, then that's the basis of the lid. So rather than saw it down, I basically use 80 grit or 60 grit sandpaper on the linisher and take that down, and then again on that, just on the end of the linisher, I sand it so it looks like that. Once you've got it to that shape, you basically find the center, drill a hole in it like this. This is a piece of wenge, center of the lid, and you use a piece of bamboo. So that whole diameter depends on the diameter of your bamboo. Bamboo comes, even though it's the same packet, they range from 2.5 mils to 3.5 mil. So before you drill the hole, choose out the bamboo, and then work out what hole you're going to use, and that's pretty much it. So I'll show you now how to sand, how to change it from this profile down to a finished handle like that. Now I make them in big batches. See, that's all curly myrtle, red ebony, Huon pine, rock maple, red cedar, New Guinea rosewood, and the list goes on. This is a piece of wenge that we'll convert into the lid. So what we'll do now is we'll just sand that flat and make sure it sits flat, and then what we'll do is we'll turn it around and reduce that thickness. Again, we're on 60 grit sandpaper. That's just the sanded flat, so we've got a nice base. And what we're going to do is we use that as a line, and we'll just sand it down to that thickness. You can make the lid, you can make the handles as thick as you want. I find a nice thin handle looks the neatest. So we've gone down half the thickness already. That's about how thick you want to go. You can go thinner, and I normally do, but you can stop at that if you want. So what I'll do now is I'll just clean up the sides. And I'll now put the radius over there. And we'll put the radius here on this end. So I just bring that down. We're nearly there. Now it's a bit freehand, so that looks about right for me. And on this side as well. Now what you want to do, just be careful of, is both sides should be similar. So that's a little bit longer than that, so I'll bring that down a bit. That needs to go down a bit more. And that's pretty much it. So we've got the shape of the handle now. That's what it looks like. I'll get a box. That's how it sits on the box. So that's the type of profile you're looking for. Well, that's the way that I do it. You can carve little trees on there, you can carve a gecko, you can do all sorts of things in terms of the handle. For mass production, this is what I do. So that's how it is. Now all we got to do is just drill that hole, and then we can glue it together. Gluing in the handle for the lid is quite straightforward. Here's the lid and here's the handle. Now this is a standard barbecue skewer that you can get at your local supermarket. I use them as dowels. So what I do is I just measure the depth of the hole. Or what my experience is with these barbecue skewers, they're not all the same diameter. They range from 2.5 mils to 3.5 mils. So just do a test measurement, drill a hole with 3 mils and try to find a skewer that works, or 2.5 or 3.5 depending on what you prefer. Now to glue up, this is a little jig that I've made with one of these push pistons. Now all I'm going to do is just put a bit of, make sure I'm in the shot there, a tiny bit of Titebond 3. That's probably too much, so I'll just clean that up. You only need a tiny bit. Now that hole's in the center of the lid and the center of the handle, so that's pretty much all you need. And then you put that in, now you just do it by eye, make sure that it's about center, press it in with your hand. And push that in place. Now I'll just leave that to set for about an hour, and the handle of the lid is done. The piece is now set in the clamp for over an hour. I'll undo it, and that's what it looks like. Before gluing that lid on, the handle on, I've basically sanded it to 1500 grit. Yes, 1500 grit with a random orbital sander. That's what the box looks like completed. It's now ready for the rest. Again, the rest is just the thickness of the table saw, and I'll just glue in a little piece there and there to elevate the actual pen off the base. And once that's glued in place, then all I do is oil the box. The next video is to show you how to oil the box. It's really straightforward. You can use any finish you want. If you want to spray it with an acrylic or polyurethane, or you want to French polish it or shellac it, I find that Organ Oil Danish oil is the best for this box. It's very quick, and that's the next video, and I'll show you how to do it.